Fala galera, sejam muito bem-vindos ao Salvando o Game, eu sou o Irving. Bora seguir com a terceira parte de novidades que tivemos nesta quarta-feira de Tekken 8. Se você não assistiu a primeira e a segunda parte, ao término deste vídeo aqui os cards vão aparecer para você, então é só seguir a sequência e assistir para ficar bem informado com tudo que tivemos de Tekken 8. Algumas coisas também têm saído, lutas completas, a HUD do jogo, que isso pode ser que eu traga posteriormente no canal ou então em shorts. Então é por isso que você precisa estar inscrito e com o sininho ativado para não perder quando todo esse conteúdo chegar. Beleza? Vamos seguir aqui já com a entrevista. Eu não deixei passando nada porque eu queria que fosse o mais rápido possível. Vamos lá, já tá com as legendas.
What's up everyone, Mitchell Saltzman here, and I am joined by the one and only Katsuhiro Harada, and the likewise
Katsuhiro Harada.
And we're of course here to talk about Tekken 8. So one of the things that you guys are adding to Tekken 8 that's completely brand new is this heat system. Can you tell me a little bit
Falar
about
pouco melhor sobre o sistema
heat
HIT.
system was and how it manifests in the game?
O sistema de aquecimento, galera, lembrando, é o sistema HIT.
This is his hands first. It ties into the overall design philosophy first, which I think we touched on is aggressive, right? Because fighting games are unique in that other genres don't have this, but you can guard and have like 0 damage if you're that good at guarding, right? So in order to kind of get around that, it's more about we wanted to kind of entice people to explore the new game system and to be more aggressive and attacking. And the heat system was kind of designed to be one of the strong points of that, and to be so interesting that people want to explore different options and creative ways to use the characters to kind of employ those tactics.
So I got to see a keynote of what your goals were with Tekken 8, and you said one of them was to enhance like the character specialties in the game.
Bom, galera, e só para comentar rapidinho aqui, o Harada ele destaca mais uma vez que o sistema HIT ele vai ser totalmente recompensador para a galera que é agressiva, que vai para cima, que ataca. Então isso faz com que o modo como se joga Tekken hoje em dia mude. A galera das antigas tem que reaprender a jogar o jogo e ao mesmo tempo ajuda a pessoa que nunca teve contato com a franquia e tem curiosidade ou tem interesse de chegar, porque vai aprender junto com a galera que já jogava o jogo anterior. Talvez isso incomode para o jogador que joga mais no erro do adversário, que joga mais na defensiva, mas eu acho que é questão de adaptação. Por conta de ter um novo meta para o jogo, você tem que reaprender e se adaptar. Isso não significa que o jogo vai ser ruim ou que esse sistema só vai recompensar o cara que é agressivo. Eu acho que não, eu acho que tem que ter um certo equilíbrio e a gente só vai saber se isso vai funcionar depois que o jogo sair ou quando a gente tiver os primeiros testes.
How the heat system kind of plays into that?
まあ、ヒートシステムというキーワードで、
ヒートシステム。
新システムですっていうパッケージとして
Yeah, it's quite a focal point for us for making each character more unique as a result of the heat system. So the heat system it's a nice package and a nice ring to it by itself, and it affects the whole game.
É isso que é legal, ele está destacando que o sistema HIT ele vai deixar os personagens cada vez mais únicos, com características individuais aí para se diferenciarem entre si. Isso é muito legal.
Although he has his moveset and some new moves added, when he goes into the heat state, he has access to something like the Jaguar Sprint, where he's got the super armor attributes as he's dashing towards.
Aí explicando que o King tem o armor, né?
No, that's specific to him and makes him unique.
Quando você ativa o HIT.
What that does is it kind of fosters that players will have their main character, but then they learn what makes them even cooler this time for Tekken 8. At the same time, they see another character and they think, oh wow, if the heat state makes them be able to do this kind of cool thing, maybe I'll pick them up and try them out. Harada himself even said he wants to maybe switch main characters or pick up someone else. He gave the King example. Myself, I'm a Mishima player, and if you look at Kazuya, he's been showing the trailer. One of the things with the Mishimas that's so satisfying is when you're able to hit the electric, right? The electric Wind God Fist, but it's so difficult input for people who aren't really good at the game yet. But in Heat State, he has a much easier way to do electrics, and so you can find out why he's such a fun character. So those are just 2 examples, and imagine that across the whole cast.
So reflecting back on Tekken 7.
Bom, e aqui ele destacou que o sistema HIT ele faz com que o personagem se torne cada vez mais único e instiguem as pessoas a experimentar mais outros personagens, porque se adequou melhor a alguma habilidade do HIT que certo personagem tem, como ele citou o exemplo do King, que tem o Armor, então o cara que curte jogar com Armor, com esse tipo de personagem, nunca jogou com o King ou não tinha muito interesse por conta desse sistema, vai acabar experimentando jogar com boneco. Isso é legal, porque te traz novas possibilidades, né?
I wonder, was there anything that you looked at when you were, thinking about Tekken 8 that you wished, oh, I wish we did this in Tekken 7? Like, were there any areas in Tekken 7 that you thought you could do better at that you're now trying to do in Tekken 8?
面白い質問。今までない。
Da hora essa pergunta.
なかなか面白い質問ですね。
There's lots of ideas. That's a very interesting question, first off, that we haven't really been asked. But there's many ideas of the opposite, where during Tekken, for example, 5, he gave the example that maybe the super slow is something that we did in 7, but he originally wanted to do it in 5. But it's very hard to take an idea that you couldn't do at the time because of not enough time or money or tech or whatever, and do it later, because often when you go to the next installment, you have
Legal isso aí.
a fan base, and
Eles disseram que aquele sistema meio de câmera lenta eles já queriam ter trazido no Tekken 5, mas só veio pro Tekken 7.
So it's very difficult in that sense. And this time for Tekken 8, it's more like it has to be better in every aspect than 7, that we have to put every idea that we can that's brand new, rather than something that was in 7 per se, was what he was saying. For me personally, I kind of get what you're saying, and like one example is Tekken 5. The characters, depending on who the pairing is, they have a certain line they speak, and an action.
Eles querem dar uma nova cara pro Tekken 8, tipo, diferenciar bastante do 7.
And we just weren't able to do in 7, but this time we put a lot of effort into doing that. And like Harada was saying, I really wanted to make the characters more unique, because they have rage or rage drive or systems across
Harada. Eles traduziram como gerada. Aí a referência ao Tekken 2, né, do Paul.
I actually noticed that while I was playing. I think Lars and Jin have like a little fist bump intro. How many do you have a lot of those kind of interactions?
Ah, isso é legal. A gente tinha visto no trailer anterior, mas agora eles estão falando. Cada personagem vai ter meio que uma animação única, dependendo da sua aproximação com o personagem que você enfrenta. Tipo, vai mudar a animação quando começar a luta. Isso é muito legal.
Another one of the big additions that you guys are adding to Tekken 8 is this special control scheme. Can you talk a little bit about the impetus of
Esse que é o tema polêmico, hein, galera?
to accomplish with it?
Que é a facilitação dos combos.
So the special style, the controller scheme itself, is something that when we were thinking about it, Tekken 7 and also other games have something similar, but usually it's geared just towards beginners and newcomers, and it's also something you have to set up in the menu, and then you're locked in through the whole match, right? So when we were thinking about this and how we wanted to change it, it was more about, well, it's kind of like a missed opportunity if it's just geared towards the beginners, right? If it were something that would benefit intermediate and advanced players, it would be much better for us. So that was what we were designing it towards, was something that everyone can enjoy in different ways. And so in that manner, it's like for newcomers, they can pick it up, turn it on instantaneously by pushing L1. And you can get a feel for the character doing the special moves, etc. with one button. You can even press, just keep pressing the same button to do combos, just like an action game, like how you would play another non-fighting action game. So it serves its purpose in that manner, but then also for,
eu não tô curtindo muito isso aí não, galera.
They already know, they have a base of Tekken knowledge, and maybe
Isso é que me preocupa.
But maybe they want to try out someone else, and rather than watching YouTube videos or going into the move list and spend a lot of time, they can just jump right in and turn that on. and then check out the character, and then once they get a feel for it, within the match, still they can turn it off and go to the traditional input method if they want. And even maybe more advanced players, there might be an instance where they're playing and then at a certain moment, like at the end of a combo, they definitely don't want to make any mistakes, and they can turn that on and more effectively do a certain move. So as you can see, it's designed that because it's simultaneous and because of the choice of the moves, that it's something that should benefit all their levels of players.
One of the big things about Tekken 7 was customization.
Então vamos lá, eu já comentei sobre isso no vídeo anterior, mas eu vou comentar também brevemente nesse aqui. Então se você não assistiu, corre lá porque tá bem bacana. Mas aqui eles classificam os jogadores em nível básico, intermediário e avançado. Eles quiseram trazer uma mecânica para os 3 níveis, sem priorizar ninguém. Só que quando você pega o nível básico e você traz esse sistema para fazer com que a pessoa que nunca teve contato com jogo de luta ou com o jogo de Tekken se interesse mais pela franquia e pelos jogos de luta, beleza, eu acho bacana, é benéfico. E o cara do nível avançado, ele nunca vai errar, porque ele já sabe como joga, ele já é muito bom, mas geralmente, quando que o cara de nível avançado, ele perde? Quando ele erra algum setup, algum comando, e se você facilita agora para o cara não errar, meu amigo, vai ser tipo assim, pô, caiu no combo, morreu. Então o cara do nível básico e talvez do intermediário não tem chance contra um cara de nível avançado na teoria. Porque geralmente, se um cara do nível básico ou intermediário tá esperando o cara do avançado dropar um combo, agora vai ser muito mais difícil. Então eu não vejo isso como algo benéfico. Eu acho que mata um pouco da essência dos jogos de luta. Isso vai interferir em questão de torneios também. Que sobre isso eu falo melhor no outro vídeo, então depois corre lá, vamos seguir aqui.
Of your characters, is there going to be a similar system in Tekken 8 where you can, dress up your character as much as you want with the items that you get unlocked?
Agora eu vou falar um pouco sobre a personalização dos bonecos, né? Porque Tekken sempre teve bastante isso.
Deep dive into at the moment. What we can say is, Tekken has always been known for even within fighting games, being a lot of freedom that the players have in customizing look for their characters. Not just the skin, right? It's like you can change all these different parts in so many different ways. And that was the case for Tekken 7, so obviously we'd want to do even more for Tekken 8, is all we can say.
Então, para a galera que gosta de skins, de customização dos personagens, podem ficar tranquilos, porque Tekken 8 volta na mesma pegada do Tekken 7. Até melhor.
You've been thinking about this story for, decades at this point. Have you thought about the end of the story? Like, is that something that you're actively thinking about? Can you even see an end for the story?
それはもともとあって、もう
So Harada was just mentioning that he actually had that kind of overall story arc and the ending plotted out in his head, but that was scheduled to finish 15 years ago. And as you're,
Cara, ele falou que estava programado para terminar a história, o arco aí dos Mishima há 15 anos atrás. Então ele já tinha mais ou menos ideia de como ia terminar.
But this time in particular for Tekken 8, he said he plotted out a storyline overall for 8 in particular. And then the development staff, they add their own twists and ideas to it. So it's actually quite surprising for even Harada, even though he knows the general story line, that, oh wow, this kind of happens. And so since that's the case for him, he's quite confident that most of the players won't be able to foresee what's going to happen, right?
Isso é muito legal, hein? Reviravoltas, plot twists.
After Harada's given the general order. And because everyone's worked on the game so much and they're all
Isso pode significar término aí, talvez?
This character, this is what the community expects, and they would love if we do this, or on the other hand, they're going to expect this, so let's go this way. And so it is one of the more fun parts of the development is the story and what we want to do with the story arcs.
I dare you.
Apesar que aquela, né? Eles podem depois apostar nos remakes.
You have veteran MMA and pro wrestling commentator or ring announcer, Len Hart. Was
Ah,
that
tá
like an
falando do
audition process
comentarista,
getting
né,
in
do
there,
jogo.
or was that someone that you specifically reached out to be part of Tekken 8?
あれ
中津と指名
は
して
指名ですね。ちょっと
And
PV
that's
とか
actually someone that we knew because a lot of the team was into the martial arts events, and we actually asked her directly, "Hey, can you do this?" And just to give it that atmosphere and the feel and to boost everyone's excitement, she adds a lot to the character trailers, right? And maybe a lot of people don't know she did Anna, voice actor too, before in the past, right? Yeah, she was the voice actor for Anna before. So, and she's been at our events, and she's done some ring announcements for some of our events as well. So it was a logical choice.
Can you talk a little bit about being able to use Unreal Engine 5 as it pertains to Tekken 8? What kind of advancements has it allowed for in the actual combat? And do you see the Unreal Engine 5 being like, you know, a way for fighting games to evolve in the future?
難しいとこですね。実は
It's a very interesting question. We could say that for Tekken 7, even we use UE4 first, right?
Eles
Even
usaram
then,
Unreal 4 pro
the
Tekken
engine
7.
itself was more probably geared towards shooters or games with wide open stages, and so fighting games required a whole lot of different things, and so the visual aspect of it was pretty much paired with, you know, was for using UE4, but the actual like underlying mechanics that actually made the game run was usually scripting and stuff that we did on our side, and then heavily kind of customizing it to make it fit what we need. The same could be said for UE5, that it's really easy to get that high level of graphics that people expect from this current generation of, they were called next gen, but now they're the current generation of consoles, right? UE5 is really good at letting you do that quickly and to get the look and the feel of a game. But that said, we're still doing most of the scripting and moving.
Então, destacando bem o visual, né, e a facilidade para se trabalhar com as texturas, tudo na Unreal 5.
So part of the challenge is to take those pretty graphics and kind of marry them with the underlying framework of the game. And so it's hard to say that fighting games will change in such a certain manner because of UE5, because it's more of a shooter-based game, or based engine, which we're actually heavily customizing. And it seems like Guilty Gear is probably doing even the same thing on theirs. Not the same as us, but same in that you're taking an engine that's built for probably another genre and kind of bending it to make it fit the one you want to use it for.
Well, that is unfortunately all the time we have. Thank you guys both so much for your time and for the info. And for more Tekken 8, keep it right here on IGN.
É isso, galera. Essa então foi a entrevista com Katsuhiro Harada. Tivemos coisas bem interessantes. Tô curioso para saber que rumo que a história vai tomar, como que deve terminar o arco dos Mishimas aí, os plot twists que podemos ter, como eles disseram. Mais uma vez deram a ênfase no sistema hit, o que ele traz para o jogo, né? As possibilidades e o quanto beneficia o jogador que é agressivo. Falou também sobre a facilitação dos golpes, e esse pode ser o ponto mais problemático do jogo. Isso a gente só vai ter certeza realmente quando sair, mas é algo que realmente me preocupa. De resto, o jogo está sensacional, lindo, o gameplay parece estar muito bacana, o sistema hit traz grandes possibilidades, então tô aqui no aguardo de repente de uma beta, algo do tipo, pra gente poder jogar. Beleza, galera? Se você curtiu, então já deixa o like, se inscreve no canal, ativa o sino para não perder esse e os próximos vídeos que sairão no canal. Tamo junto, espero que vocês tenham curtido. Até a próxima. Falou, valeu!